Good afternoon. The Ranter is back to go in yet another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. And I haven't done this in a while, and there was so many news points that came and went over the last time I did this to now that I don't know. I wanted to do more stuff between then and now, but there's like an ongoing issue with my laptop of memory space and so forth, so it's always like a struggle to see how much I can actually do before things like cut off and whatever. Anyway, but I wanted to get back into it, and nothing really organized, just more of a more of a rant. And with this, I usually have to wait until something like really like kicks up for me, and then for me to like express myself. And so we had last night's Townhall from CNN for Donald Trump, and I make it a point not to watch anything that Donald Trump does live, because for the simple fact is I do not want to, even in hate watching, give him a single tick of ratings, of attention. So what I'll do is that I'll just, if I'm even interested in anything he has to say or whatever event is going on, I wait for the highlights of that, or just go on social media and just listen to other people's highlights of it. So that was going on while I'm at work anyway, and see the responses flood in and what he was saying, and the reaction and what the questions were, and I don't understand how people can be surprised. I mean, people were outraged. Oh my God, CNN, what are you doing? Why aren't you hitting him harder? What? The audience was like totally pro-Trump. Well, of course it was. And not meaning that of course it was, meaning that the crowd would be anyway. Trump was not going to go on CNN, not going to have an event without a whole lot of things being set up for his benefit. Let's not assume and pretend that what he went on to was going to be an unbiased format for hard-hitting questions. That everything is going to be as soft as a Nerf ball being thrown to him. Any pushback will be a gentle, polite nudge, which it was when the host kept saying every time Trump says the election was rigged. No, it was not. And then the only time she really had a hard question, or not even a hard question, but the only time that she actually had a question that was contentious to his point of view during the documents was like he said she was a nasty woman. So even in the lightest, gentlest way of pushback, Trump still played the victim. And this is the guy you want for president. This guy who's also a day before liable for the sexual abuse and defamation of E.J. Carroll, and has to pay $5 million for that. I would have gotten into a video on that, but I just wanted to kind of do this sort of wine raging scope upon what's going on, especially when it comes with Trump. But when he was making fun of her on there, the crowd was all eating that up. Yay! So the people think it's funny for a sexually abused victim to be made fun of. Okay. See, but again, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because of what the crowd was. When later on they did sort of a Q&A on the crowd, or some of the people in the audience that they brought back to have a conversation with concerning show of hands of how many people were their opinions of Trump improved. how many people disapproved, and how many were just where they were, and they're all like this. They were going in, and his opinion wasn't going to improve. It wasn't going to be dissuaded either. This was not going to be some sort of hard-hitting expose of anything. And if you're going in there liking Trump, you're going to like Trump getting out of here. Because in actuality, Trump said nothing new. This is the same spiel he's been doing for years. You just erase one name or erase one event, and then you write in crayon the other name or the other event, but it's the same thing over and over again. Joe Walsh, who is an avid Trump opponent, critic, somebody who does not believe he should be president ever again. He's praising this town hall and praising that Trump was on there, and his explanation is that, well, he's going to be the Republican nominee, and people need to see what he's like, and I think they did an excellent job. This was a service. And it's like, no, that wasn't a service. Trump didn't say anything different. He was the same cruel, ignorant, bully piece of trash that he was beforehand. He said nothing new. He was not going to get pushed back. There was no value to this whatsoever. Even from the point, let's even say from the point of view of being a Republican or even being a Trump supporter who was actually looking for substance. There was none. If you were actually looking for Trump to say something different, he was not going to say something different. If you were expecting CNN, or by extension their host of this event, to challenge him on anything, you're disappointed in that too. He was not going to go on the show without all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, that he be treated and pampered and only love tapped with kid gloves. Because if there was any unbiased opinion, if there was actually a Democrat in that crowd that was going to ask a question, he was not going to be there. Period. End of sentence. This is the guy you want to be president of the United States again, someone who could not handle opposition. He couldn't even handle the opposition of the host, who was blindsided and steamrolled over by him. Joe Walsh's assertion of him being the Republican nominee, so therefore we have to listen to him, is erroneous. As far as I'm concerned, he was going to be the Republican nominee regardless. He was going to be the Republican nominee after Joe Biden won the election. 4 years later, he was going to come back, and he would be the nominee. This Republican Party, in this current incarnation, is going to bend over backwards. Regardless of what Trump says, or Trump does, or Trump is, civilly liable for, or maybe, guilty of, in terms of some of the other investigations, if he gets indicted for, they're still going to bend the knee. Because it's not only their loyalty to Trump, which I don't think that's even the thing, it's their own political livelihood. Because that's the thing about this. Even people who are going to be running for president against Joe Biden, they don't want to mention the fact that they're also running against Donald Trump. And so they always are going to treat Donald Trump like, the Fremini, so that they can somehow siphon votes away from him, siphon support away from him, that if somehow Trump goes down, that they can take the Trump supporters to them. But that happened in 2016 too, where everyone tried their best to hug Trump when Trump was on the rise. I had this theory, and I had this theory back then, and I still keep it, is that majority of Republican supporters, I mean, old school, Reagan-esque Trump supporters, or Republicans that way, are not necessarily, hardcore MAGA Trump supporters. Where these Republican voters, what they're looking for is not only an opposition to the Democrat, whoever that is, but they want strength. And what they saw in 2016 was that the large field of Republicans who stepped up to the plate couldn't bring themselves to challenge Trump. I mean, the loudest one at the time was probably Jeb Bush, because he was supposedly going to be the anointed one. But that didn't quite go the way that went. And he got labeled low energy and sleepy and all that by Trump, where people laughed. Ah! And then only when it became really clear that he was going to be a threat that wasn't going away, that some of the Republican candidates tried to fight back. Ted Cruz, when Trump insulted his wife, came out all passionately for about 5 seconds. But that was so staged that I think he will just turn a blind eye to any other insults his wife gets from Trump now. Marco Rubio tries to go the immature route, talking about Trump's hands and what that means. Wink, wink. But, again, that was too little too late. So in terms of the Republican voters, who not only wants opposition for the Democrats, they want somebody to exhibit strength. And in the Republican field, during primary, during the nomination process, the strength has to be exhibited against Donald Trump, and none of them could do that. And now these days, the Republican Party is unable to do that, because so many people have followed the Trump model, which was successful in 2016, of whining and conspiracy theories, and saying whatever comes through their goddamn heads without even bothering to verify what the hell they're saying. Because Trump proved. So you gotta, even as a Trump critic, you also have to acknowledge the successes that Trump has in politics. And one of the successes he had, which is kind of demoralizing for anyone who actually believed in this country, is that he lifts the veil of what is idealism and what is just bullshit when it comes to our norms and our standards. He lifts the veil by doing all the shit that you're not supposed to do to prove that he's unqualified and disqualified to ever be president. But no one goes and says that he should be felt consequence for it. Which makes you believe that, why didn't any other presidential candidate, or any other politician for that matter, go the same route as Trump did, since there apparently is no consequences. So all these Trump-esque candidates, and now successful politicians, I mean people like Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are able to say whatever they say without consequence, because Trump did that. The precedence is set. Civility, decorum, that's, that falls by the wayside, and that is no longer required or needed. So they can say whatever the hell they want without needing to verify anything. Just say it. And that's a byproduct of Trump's success. And that will continue to be the product of Trump's success so long as that he makes any further successes. People will say that Trump should not be president of the United States again. That's great. But they don't really do anything to stop that eventuality. And I mean legally terms. I'm not talking about, melodramatic, things in a night crap. Because no, let's be adults and above board here. If Trump wins, then Trump wins. So you gotta plan ahead and we'll be pragmatic of like, okay, what's next? But it's almost like any other issue that happens in the United States, any major issue, is that, especially in the media, that we'll hear about, the lamenting and the pearl-clutching and the whining and, oh, we should do this, we should do that. And then here I am going, okay, then do that. What? What you just said. Let's do that. But we don't want to. But you just said. They don't want to because they want to talk about it. They want to, generate this interest in this leading into the next election. So this could be an issue that can draw people one way or the other way. It's like everything goes back to the abortion debate, which is once again one of those things where I have my opinion going that I think sometimes those who are pro-life, politically pro-life, that clink the champagne glasses for the fall of Roe, sees the beginning of the end of abortion in the United States, maybe down deep, maybe not so down deep, maybe a little bit more obvious, is that they're also realizing they're going to lose a political cash cow. It's one thing to spend years and years being champion against abortion, because that gets you support and gets you donation money. But then to lose that, you better be going into retirement, so you don't have to do this anymore, because then you lose one of your big backing donation blocks. And then what are you going to do there? I guess go after the transgendered, I guess. That town hall, there was nothing of value. I disagree with Joe Walsh that there was nothing of value that was seen or heard from Donald Trump or from CNN's host to question him. That was a softball event. He didn't say anything any different that he has said in any one of his rallies. But Joe Walsh and those like him think that it's still good that he gets the exposure because he's going to be the Republican nominee. Which again, I say, he's going to be the Republican nominee anyway. So long as the Republicans who are lining up to challenge Joe Biden completely ignores and omits the fact that they also have to beat Trump. All they're doing is getting themselves into position of being a national name, so that when the time comes that Trump becomes the nominee, and then maybe win the presidency back, that these people that were lined up will get his coffee in the White House, that will carry the books in his White House, to be part of his staff, part of his cabinet. So these people line up, and so they can make a name for themselves, so Trump can remember their names. You don't hear me going into too much things as to what actually Trump says. It's just like outrageous and unbelievable and such that other people, especially on Twitter, were saying. Because, again, he said nothing different. You want to see what he said? Find a video at random of any of Trump's recent rallies. And boom, there you got your CNN town hall. So, where do you go from there? I mean, the people that don't like Trump is going to see, oh, this was wonderful. He totally destroyed CNN and that host. Yay! He said absolutely nothing different And it gives me no more further information that I didn't already hear from him rambling on and on again, but that's okay because he's entertaining. Yay! Because once again, it's almost like that. Is that as long as he's entertaining, then you tip the dancing bear. But, how many people seriously want the dancing bear to become president again? Well, we'll find out about that. What Trump has not done with his legal woes, with documents, with Jack on the way, with Georgia. And we'll still hear the more, if he gets indicted again and any of these other things, and we'll once again hear the cavalcade of people whining, "It's a travesty, it's a witch hunt." If he weathers all of this without bother to showing up to any of these court cases, then what's the point of all this? Even in my bias, I want to believe that, if you have an issue that requires consequences, investigation, that may lead to an arrest or lead to a court case, win or lose, then you need to do it. When I bring up any of this, concerning Trump's legal shit, and someone's counters Biden as if that's supposed to cowl me, and I go, no, that whataboutism doesn't work, because if you have any evidence on Joe Biden, or they find any evidence on Joe Biden, then investigate. And if investigation leads to something criminal, arrest him. And then charge him. And then attempt to prosecute him, win or lose. See, that type of argument towards me tells me that they would think that I would think like them. In terms of if that was happening to Trump, which it is, then they should be wringing their hands, clutching their pearls as this, no, it's a witch hunt, it's a political witch hunt, no, he needs to not stand trial, he needs to not even defend himself, he shouldn't, they just need to get rid of it. And in Georgia, they're even trying to put a bill together, I don't know if it's passed or not, it probably is passed right now, that would allow them to remove local prosecutors. So they would be able to cheat their way out of Trump having to stand before Georgia with his election fraud attempts, to backdoor him out of a situation where he would get in trouble. That is... Can any other normal person go to Georgia, be accused of a crime, and then the Georgian Republican Party, can find a way to spare this normal person? I think normal people don't get to jet off to the Great Britain when there is a defamation and sexual abuse and or rape court case happening overhead. I don't think that goes on from being under suspicion of obstruction of justice, tampering with documents, tampering with votes. You shouldn't be able to leave the state. Again, normal people wouldn't be able to leave the state, but the God King is not normal. Again, it's a rant. Well, I mean, what can we glean from anything that was done last night, or his behavior since his being liable for the actions that he did against E.J. Carroll? Trump voters don't care. Those individual Trump voters who are ride and die that he could, in fact, shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose those voters. They don't care. He once again feels no consequences for his actions, other than victimizing. Oh, everyone's attacking me, everyone's against me, they're all so mean to me. How is somebody who's nearly as high up in the 70s as he is acts like a 5-year-old, and you all still are so gung-ho on him? It's not fair. Everyone's nasty to me. That's strength? That's the alpha male that fellow alpha males, especially on Twitter, are claiming that he is so much that they, line up to go down on their knees for him? Figuratively and literally? There's one guy on there that I actually muted because I don't even know why he's on my feed. This is the one thing that pisses me off about Twitter, that I have to hear things on my feed of people that I do not follow. But other people follow, so therefore, I should see it too. I don't want to. Anyway, one of these little Nick bullshitters who thinks he's an alpha male, who puts it in his name, I'm alpha male. But, fawns over Trump. And I had in my mind to comment on that, but, he's muted, and I don't really care that much beyond that, but it's still in the back of my head. It's kind of funny how someone who's so alpha male really wants to be a beta submissive to Trump, to verbally fillet him every opportunity they could possibly get, and that's alpha male behavior. And that's not even making implications of him being gay, because I hate to break it to some of these people, there are gay folk out there who are probably much more hardcore and will kick the shit out of people who would make fun of them for being gay. No. This is more behavior is that of a groupie. So Trump is the rock star, and you're backstage with your backstage pass, and you're just waiting to be picked so that you can take his celebrity abuse of grabbing you by the pussy. Nick. But again, he amplified that with his deposition, is that's how the way it is, because he's a celebrity and he's able to do that, good or bad. Which it goes back to Me Too and a whole thing of the whole other can of worms that comes with that. One of the videos I wanted to do, and maybe I'll do it later because it's still in my mind, is to talk about Epstein and them finding videotapes or video recordings. It is a state which could be a landmine for various important people, including Bill Clinton, including Bill Gates, and including Donald Trump. Maybe one of the reasons why Epstein was held in a place that didn't have adequate security, or didn't apparently have adequate video recordings, that was not exactly the most stable facilities for something to happen. But the reason why I was going to bring that up and make a whole video about it is what Epstein represents and what the services he was offering for his fellow multi-millionaire buddies, who he wanted them to be his buddies, is the ultimate in Me Too corruption. Because what is more? What is more of a commodity that could be enjoyed by the wealthy that they can get away with than the corruption and abuse of the young? Because, like I said, when it comes to, groupie behavior, you're a big old rock star or a big old movie star, you will have compliant people come by and with the stars in their eyes will offer themselves up for the attention. That is so prevalent in our society, is that people who have a talent seek out becoming rock stars or movie stars or what have you because of that benefit. Then you have people who will do whatever they want, or they think they can do whatever they want, regardless of laws or morality, because they can. It's the line from the movie 8mm that always kept with me. When Nicolas Cage's character is talking to the lawyer, and then nearly the end of the movie, and the lawyer is like, getting on his case for trying to, uncover what happened to the little girl who died in a snuff film, a rape snuff film. And the lawyer's kind of taunting him about it, and then Nicolas Cage is, what the hell? What did your boss, which was this elderly, wealthy man who died, and the whole point of the movie is why Nicolas Cage was involved, is because his wife happened to have found his vault that had this video, this 8mm video of this girl being raped and murdered, savagely. And he asks, why did he even want that video of a little girl being killed? And the lawyer's answer was, because he could. What else did you think it was? That is haunting, because that is so fucking realistic to what we see going on with executives and what have you. And Epstein is the top. What he was doing, what he had other people doing, and what he had his madam grabbing girls and grooming them and preparing them at mid-teen age and earlier to do. That is the top of the corruption of thinking that because you're wealthy and you're powerful, you can. And Trump exhibits that. From his Access Hollywood recordings to what he even said at the deposition for his defamation case. Because he can. There has to be consequences for people like this. And it's not just about Trump, it's about anybody at this point. When the backroom good old boy, can do whatever they want because they're wealthy. When the veil got lifted a few years ago by some of these ladies and guys who came out with their stories of being tormented and abused and maligned and had their careers destroyed because they dare not comply. And Trump is the prime example of that because he was a president. And we even find out that after the E.J. Carroll case goes down, that a lady from the Trump administration was doing her best to keep certain security officers off details where Trump was demanding them be there because they were female and she wanted to look at their ass. Or he was trying to bang her. And there's no HR department for Trump, so the woman's claim that she had to keep moving people around so that he never gets alone with this one woman. That's horrifying. And yet, because he's going to be the Republican nominee, we should give him the platform to speak. I'm sorry, I disagree. At least, if you give him a platform to speak, then have the people with the balls to actually say the hard questions and actually contradict, as you would expect for anybody else. This is the last thing I'm going to say because I'm running late on this. One of the things that the CNN Town Hall actually showed me is that CNN needed Trump more than Trump ever needed CNN. They give in to his demands, make sure there was a friendly audience, that he was thrown at nothing but softballs at him for questions. And that when he insults the host, she'll just have to take it. Time gone by, when a politician of any variety would go on to a media show, they're doing it because they need to. They're doing it so they can promote themselves, get themselves out there, and the trade-off to doing that is that they have to answer, at times, tough questions. It is the risk of going on these publications. The reward is you get yourself out there, people see your responses, see you're a human being, and maybe they'll like you, maybe they not like you, but there's sure as hell more eyes on you than without. So that was the risk that these politicians would do. Nowadays, because the media is so worried about ratings and exposure to themselves, is that they need the politicians to come on. So the politicians come on, but they only do so with a list of demands to make sure that, again, like Trump, nothing is thrown as questions as harder than an earth ball. Give them all the time without really contradicting, and do not perform any form of actual journalism. Except for those moments where it becomes absolutely impossible not to. Like him saying the election was rigged over and over again, and she's going, no, it wasn't. That's as much as she went. That's pretty much tantamount to, boy, it's really bright out here at midnight tonight. It's dark. No, look, the sun is out and it's midnight. No, it's not. That's his tantamount. This is like one of those things that said something that is absolutely not true. You can't sit there and bob your head. Yeah, it's kind of bright out here. The media needs the politicians to come on for their own ratings so people can watch them. And that is the sad part in our state of affairs of the media. It's one of the things why the media isn't as trusted as it should be. Because they're not going to do what they need to do. They'll have the analysts come on, and we'll hear years and years and years upon how people say, well, this should happen like this. This should be happening like this. He should be in trouble like this. When they're not. When it never goes that way, it's just a speculation that people are supposed to bob their heads and agree with, but then just chalk it up with like, it should be, but it's not. Alright, this is the first one I've done in a while, and I may do more. I still want to do the one on Epstein. But, in any event, the ranter rants, because I'm bored. I don't know. Because the urge to rant is always rising. You know this. Say it enough, don't I? I will talk to you all later.